It's Jeff here at Lake County's 1023 XLC. Here with me, I have a gentleman who's accomplished a lot in wrestling. He's actually going to be part of the wrestling showcase that's going to be in Schaumburg on September 3rd. It's part of All Out Weekend. There's an 8-man tournament for the inaugural championship. Without further ado, Killer Kross. Kross, how are you today?
I'm very good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. You have a busy summer going on here. You have a lot of things going on. You have StarCast coming at the end of the month. That's actually going to lead up to Ric Flair's last match. And there you're actually going to be facing Harry Smith. So, I mean, how do you feel about that, facing Harry?
This is a rematch that I've been interested in having for a very long time. The very first time we squared off was in GCW's Bloodsport, a little bit of a different rule setting. But it was an interesting time because it was a breakout match for me, for a lot of people, because they had no idea that I had a shoot background. I've always leaned into character work. And they pretty much primarily knew me for that. So they got to see an entirely different genre out of me. And it was a match that I went under. So, as a competitor, as an artist, it's a little haunting. I had no excuses. The better man won that night. And years later now I get to revisit that moment, and we're doing it at Ric Flair's last match, that show, which is surreal in itself.
Oh,
Being
absolutely.
growing up watching Ric Flair, like now you're on his last show. I don't even know how to it hasn't even hit me yet. That's gonna hit me the day of for sure. It's gonna hit you in waves.
Yeah, no, I get that. Now, it's interesting that you bring up talking about being like a shoot fighter and things like that. I mean, man, the strikes that you have, like that, when I see that, like those forearms going in, dude, like, where did you pick that up?
I don't know, man. I've always been involved with Kyokushin and Muay Thai growing up. A lot of catch wrestling. That was pretty much my base to start. Elbows have always just been very comfortable to me. Forearms, elbows, and stuff like that. And when I was in NXT, I was looking at the plethora of performers. And for me, I've always tried to diversify myself away from other people. So you have another flavor to add to the show or the card. Try to be different, try to be original. A lot of us can do the same stuff. We try to stay away from that to make things interesting and engaging for the audience on a match-to-match basis. And at the time when I got to NXT, I personally think, just my opinion, I know there's a lot of reasons why I was hired when they were looking at me as an investment, but I think one of the main reasons was the shoot background, especially the blood sports stuff and being involved with Natural Born Killers in Las Vegas, which was an offshoot of UWFI Japan. It was something I was putting together with Joe DeFalco. I was looking at who was there at NXT, and Thatcher and Kyle O'Reilly were there, and they were doing a lot of a similar style of what I was doing in the ring. So I decided to, for a time at least move away from a little bit of that, just to, as I said, to diversify the card, lean more into character work. Now that I'm back independent, I can take my entire arsenal and find something in the middle, and I'm very interested in getting back into that, back doing that, and it's just something that's always come naturally to me. I've been involved with combat sports since I was a kid. So was my father, so was my grandfather, my uncles. It's sort of a family culture, and that was there ingrained in me prior to pro wrestling. So it's very easy to go back to.
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. Like watching your matches, I mean, they're just like downright violent. And I like it. It's a great style. It fits you really well. Definitely more so than, I guess, for lack of a better term, the character style of wrestling. So I mean, you've really come into your own like the last few years here. It's been great to watch that. So I think with that style too. Now recently you were in New Japan, and your debut was against somebody. I don't know how I've been sleeping on this for quite a while. I just say that there's so much wrestling out there. It's really hard to kind of take it all in sometimes. But Suzuki, that is a dude that like, man, I just love watching him every time. Just seeing him go walk to the ring, it's amazing. So how was it, having your debut in New Japan against an icon like Suzuki?
Too much fun. It was too much fun. For me, I grew up watching Hulk Hogan on Ultimate Warrior, but when I discovered Japanese wrestling at a very early age, Minoru Suzuki became like my new Hulk Hogan. So,
Yeah.
like to me, again, being in the ring with him, very much like this upcoming Flair show, being in the ring with him was just kind of like, I know you, like I know you, and I shouldn't know you, but I do. Like you're like the man from the TV,
Yeah.
and it was very fun. I know he had fun as well. There's a couple times in there we were trying not to crack up laughing. I know that probably doesn't sound very professional, but we both had a lot of fun that night. It was really
I
cool
get it.
being involved, and it's how many opportunities will you ever have to debut in New Japan and be in the ring with someone who's a pioneer like this? You know what I mean? You're talking about the guy who was involved with Pancrase, Hybrid. I mean, he was in the ring with Boss Root and Shamrock, and there's just so much that he's done. If you have an opportunity to work with somebody like that, you take it.
Yeah, it's next level stuff for sure. And like I said, I'm really late to the game with Suzuki and some of the New Japan stuff and the Japanese wrestling, just because there's so much to kind of like digest. I mean, 7 days a week, you can find wrestling streaming or what have you, kind of everywhere. So and that's a cool thing. I mean, with your career, you've been a lot of places, and you're even going more places too, especially with this event too, the wrestling showcase that's coming up. So you're going to face Tony Nese, part of this 8-man tournament that's going up. How do you feel about facing Tony?
It makes feelings. Like I'm looking forward to it. I am definitely enthusiastic about the match. I also have a slight inclination to be a little bit nervous about this one because, in my opinion, I think Tony Nese was one of the most overlooked and underestimated talents that's out there. I've always thought that Tony is a guy that could carry a company. You could put him at the front of the line in any company, and he will have 5-star matches. I think he's a total package. Guys that look like him should not be able to move like him. They should be tight. They should be a little bit more muscle bound. The guy is a total freak, and I think that he's going to be coming in that night with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. This is an opportunity for him to prove everything that I just said. And the boys know this. They might not want to put him over because they want the spotlight for themselves. There's a lot of people that are very insecure and are too afraid to say what I just said. But I'm saying that because I have respect for him. And I knew him in NXT. We shared the same locker room together for a long time. He's a good man. He's a good father. He trains hard. But I'm going to make sure everything in my power that that's not going to be his night. And I said it once and I say it again. I'm showing up to beat the shit out of him. So that's the way it's going to be.
I get it. Yeah, the confidence is definitely there. That's awesome. So here with Killer Kross, he's going to be part of the wrestling showcase. It's part of All Out Weekend, September 3rd in Schaumburg. So if you have any questions about that, check out the website. It's thewrestlingshowcase.com. You can also follow them on Twitter. It's Rest with a W Showcase on Instagram, Real Wrestling Showcase, and on Facebook, The Wrestling Showcase. Now, also, too, follow Killer Kross as well on all social media, Real Killer Kross, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, also killerkross.com. Now, you have some amazing videos that are on there and on your YouTube channel, too. What kind of is the inspiration for creating videos like that?
The first place it came from, like we were saying, was I just wanted to diversify my work. When I first got involved with wrestling, years ago, I came to an independent show, and it was a resident show of the school I was training at, which was Future Stars of Wrestling out of Las Vegas, FSW. And I was asking around, like, hey, I know you guys are going to tell me when I'm ready. I can't tell you when I'm ready. When you're learning, you're a student of something. It's like when you're training martial arts, you don't request a belt test. They tell you when you're ready to move up. So I said, how does this work? I have some ideas and whatnot. The promoter had some ideas. We collaboratively came together, and I just looked at who was on the show, who was doing what moves, and etc. And I just thought, here's something that's missing in the show that I know I personally would like to see, and more importantly, I know that a lot of other people would like to see this more so. You don't want to just do what you think is cool. You want to do what people are actually going to enjoy watching, and you have to
Yeah,
be cool with that. You have to understand. So I just began always leaning into the direction of what was absent in a show. And thankfully, some of the things that I'm personally interested in, like retro horror and violence, and a lot of the Japanese wrestling and shoot stuff, there was I say this respectfully, there was an absence of it. So I thought, you know what? I can authentically bring this stuff to life in a manner that people will really enjoy. I can create an energy that's larger than life. You're going to get to see something out of me authentically that you're not going to be able to find at another show. People just don't have it in them the way I have it in me to bring that out. And that was the direction I've always tried to go in and create it. And so even just Killer Kross, like I didn't come up with the name Killer Kross. I was working as Kevin Kross, and my work and just the things that I was doing in the ring, people began online to start calling me Killer Kross. It was Kevin's going to kill you, then it became Kross is going to kill you, and then people just started chanting Killer Kross. And I actually tried to go in the opposite direction of that for a while because I was like, the word killer, maybe that'll trigger people or something. But then I thought to myself, like, you know what? The audience is giving me something, and they're telling me who they want me to be. So after a few months, it wouldn't go away. I was like, I'm going to run with this. And I'm glad I did. So I got that from the audience. They gave that to me years ago. And yeah, it's not a PG format. But I thought to myself, I don't have to be restricted to the PG format. I might as well give them the alternative. They have Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays of wrestling on television. If they're coming to the indie shows, they don't want to watch a watered down version of the PG format. So I'm going to give them something they're not going to see on TV. And that's kind of just the general foundational place I've always come from when creating this type of stuff.
Okay. Very cool. So I guess one last question here before we kind of wrap up, talking with Killer Kross here, part of the wrestling showcase. It's going to happen on All Out Weekend in Schaumburg, Illinois. So if you have any questions about that, check out the website, thewrestlingshowcase.com. So is there someone that's a dream opponent for you that you haven't wrestled as of yet? Is there any particular person, I guess, on any brand? And, you know, I guess you can say any brand. Maybe it won't start any rumors, or it probably will, knowing how the wrestling world is, right? But is there anyone that you haven't faced that you would like to face someday?
Well, there were tons of people in the WWE. They were all matches that people were fantasy booking. I mean, Brock and Roman, Bray, Seth Rollins, all of those people, Randy, all of those people, Riddle, Nakamura. But in terms of what is most realistic in the present moment, I would definitely say I am very interested in working against Okada in Japan.
Wow.
I think that that was something I was setting out to do once I was getting involved with New Japan. I think we'd be a good matchup. I'm legitimately 265 pounds, 6'4". A lot of guys, they fugazi their heights and weights for TV. I don't, because I don't want to. I don't have anything against it, whatever. But like, I don't want to. I don't want to disappoint people when they meet me. Like, people always tell me when they meet me, like, "Oh my God, you're a lot bigger in person than you look on TV." I've always taken that as a compliment. That's fine. But like, I don't finagle that type of stuff. And Okada's a big guy. People don't realize actually how big he really is. He's another guy who's much larger in person. And I think that he is, aside from Jay White, who just smashed him, aside from that, I think he's running out of, he will eventually run out of contenders. And I'd like to catch him before he decides to hang it up. Not that I have an inclination he's going to hang it up anytime soon, but you never know. You never know. I think that will be a match that will bring him back to life in a way that he might not even realize he needs right now.
That would be awesome, man. People would be very excited for that, for sure. So, Killer Kross, thank you so much for your time, and you know what? Thank you for all that you do. I mean, all the entertainment and the great wrestling that you bring to everybody out there. You know, truly, it's amazing. And you know, the times that we're in, for you to go out there and kind of do what you do, man, it makes everybody's life a little bit better, for sure.
Thank you sincerely. I really mean that. I appreciate it, man. And that is always my intention. Whether I'm playing the good guy or the bad guy, my utmost intention is to make sure people feel something out of it and get something out of it and enjoy themselves for the time that they're committing to see it. So thank you.
For sure. Well, thanks again. Killer Kross going to be part of the Wrestling Showcase, that 8-man tournament for the first championship there for the Wrestling Showcase. That is happening September 3rd in Schaumburg. Thanks once again. I know you're very busy, a lot of cool things going on. Make sure that you're following Killer Kross too, the real Killer Kross, Instagram, Twitter. Also check out his website, killerkross.com. Really cool merch going on over there too. You got some great shirts, all the stuff. The total package is right there. So thank you for everything.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
All right, Killer Kross and Jeff here with Lake County's 103 XLC.